Can I put a question to you guys?
Yeah.
Based on that, and this is what I was saying earlier on, that Thomas State of Play might launch us onto other topics. Do you think that streaming has changed the way games are made?
Yeah, probably.
Why?
I don't think so actually, but go on.
You don't think so? Okay, interesting. Yeah.
I think in the last couple of years we've kind of gotten back into games that are easy to jump into. There was a period of time where games were in like early PS4 times. Games were very hard. Like you played them, you cleared them. Like these are amazing, well directed, story told games. But trying to jump back into them was really difficult.
Okay.
Because of the onboard. Like it's like they're setting you up for the story. It's like, wow, it's taking its time, which is great. But when you're trying to jump back into the game and you're trying to get all the collectibles or do this particular trophy hunt became very hard. But now they've gotten back into sort of making the games easier to jump back into.
Okay.
Especially if you look at something like Capcom with Resident Evil have always kept it that it's very easy to jump back into the game. So I think so, because if someone is going to stream a game, I'm not 100% sure unless it's something like God of War or something like that, I don't think everyone is going to be wanting to sit there for whatever amount of minutes staring at
the setup.
The setup, exactly. They want to see the gameplay. They want to see and then therefore, when you're staring at such a long setup, the streamer can't really talk because it means there's a story happening. Yeah, and the whole point is that the streamer is supposed to be talking. So I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's affected all games, but I agree. I think it has changed the way some games are made. I think some games are made with streamers in mind. And I think Deathloop is one of them. Even like putting in certain functions and things. But I think it's made it's like, listen, if we make a game that loads of people and loads of big people are going to stream, they're advertising it for us. Like this is, and not that that's the only reason they make the game.
No, yeah.
But there could be functions or features with streamers in mind. That's not necessarily a bad thing. In a similar way, like plenty of movies do this, but like the Marvel movies, a lot of them will write moments that are like, if we do this right, this is going to be that moment where someone will compile a fan reaction video to. We're trying to achieve that moment, and they do that. Like if you both Infinity War and Endgame are literally built around getting those big reactions from people. And I think some games are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know, just because I think streamers will stream literally anything.
Yeah.
And I think people tend not to. There's a difference between watching a streamer and watching a playthrough. A playthrough is just you watching how maybe the person will react to the game, and whatever it is they're playing. And a streamer is you don't give a fuck what they're playing. You're there to see them.
You're to hang out.
You're there to hang with the chat, and you're there just because they are entertaining, and they will literally make anything entertaining. And those are the big streamers.
Right.
Like it could be just as simple as just we're going to read an article or watch a YouTube video. They don't actually care what they're doing. They're just there to watch the streamer. I think maybe social media and forums and chats have changed how games are designed more so.
Take it to a new level. Take it to a new level.
With the whole, the online hub and the social space and the ability to be able to jump in and out because people's kind of, I suppose, their capacity to pay attention has decreased. They just want things now, and that's that was I suppose the benefits of having SSD is that gets people into the game quicker. Because I've noticed a lot of games, not just there but just throughout, like that tend to rely on this social hub and the ability of emotes and the idea of expressing yourself. And like there was a game announced in State of Play, wasn't there, that has the it's like an online martial arts game.
The Hunter Arena.
Hunter's Arena, yeah.
And it's like, and you can express yourself in any way you want, and it's like showing all the different things, and it's like that's a really specific audience that you're targeting there with this particular feature. And I think that has more of a how do you get people away from Discord and away from Reddit and enjoy your game? Well, if we can implement some of those like kind of social features, like how do you get emojis and GIFs, that kind of how you get that kind of excitement from those features? How do you implement that into your game?
Or create like a walking meme culture within games or something.
Yeah,
turn
like sometimes
your character into a meme.
Yeah, sometimes you have the like emotes that are based off of certain memes or GIFs as well. Like the Carlton dance, for example, is an emote that was in things. So it's trying to bring some of those into the game more so, I think.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because then it becomes a loop. Because games will then start trying to maybe implement features or something that's happening out in the world to engage gamers. And then gamers might find a new feature in that game that they bring into their world. And then, it spirals and it turns into this loop of both influencing each other, which is...
Well, that was what makes the medium so interesting, more so than any other form of entertainment, right? Because you can't actually... It's so difficult to define a game. Right, because we used to say, well, games are, something that you interact with, like in terms of video game, something you interact with, and it's entertaining, right? It's fun, right?
Yeah.
However, Naughty Dog recently haven't been using that terminology for how they would describe a game.
No, and they're right.
But it's but it's like, with how games are changing, evolving, how you can play them with the introduction of VR, with motion, and it's like. It's never going to get to, I don't think games are really going to get to a point where it's just like, oh yeah, now that's a game. Like that's the plateau. That's the definition of game. It's just going to keep evolving. That's what makes it so interesting and exciting. But every generation it's going to be exciting.
Do you think that, okay, not to go crazy, right? But do you think that kind of happens in all entertainment mediums? And like, I think, so like in movies, right? There's set parameters in terms of like, yes, you sit back, it's on a screen and you watch and there's a beginning and a middle and an end or whatever. But it's not like it has to be entertaining or it has to tell a straightforward story or it has to do this or it has to do that. Same with like music, you know what I mean? It's like, well, there should be an intro, verse, chorus, verse 2, bridge, outro or whatever like that. It's like, well, no, it could be no chorus, it could be no words, it could be no music. It could be just sounds. So it's just kind of, I think, like across all entertainment. Now, maybe it happens more with gaming, but maybe they're all kind of hard to actually define. Like, what? Maybe it's just that they're all just engaging, and as long as it engages you, it's doing its job. I don't know.
No, I think it's no. I think it's cinema, movies, and music is a lot easier to define.
Okay.
Because you don't have, I mean, they've tried it with movies. They've tried doing things like, I remember with Blu-ray, when Blu-ray first came out, they had like the Blu-ray disc live feature, which is something that they're actually trying to do now, which is the making social features so that we could all be in our own house, but we could all log into a Blu-ray disc live, watch the movie in our own virtual theater, and still almost like a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like watch parties became huge during
COVID. Or the introduction of 3D in movie. Like they've tried to change the format of movie.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work, right? And there's like it's like movie has kind of pretty much, not that the themes can't change and be explored differently, or the methods of entertainment, like how much explosions are needed to actually keep people entertained, for example, right? It's not as if like that, that thing, that kind of stuff, that stuff might change, but it's how you interact with the medium that's the same.
Do you think then, in a way, there could be more in common? And like, look, there's totally different mediums of entertainment and artistic expression, but do you think there could be more in common with music in terms of the technology changing of how you make music, but then also how you actually listen to music in terms of like, vinyl, CD, tapes, fucking just digital audio streaming. You know what I mean? Like the actual way in which we receive music or get music or engage with music does change and changes quite rapidly over time.
Yeah, that kind of
That's
well,
probably
that
closer to the gaming experience.
probably like that dictates. Yeah, that dictates. I suppose how music is written, how much whomps there needs to be, etc.
Womps?
Whomps, yeah.
Is that a
Like,
technical term? What's a womp?
you
It's
know,
a little
like,
thing you hunt on Tatooine.
That's
like
a womp
bass,
rat.
isn't it? Like
It's related to the womp.
isn't it? It's
no,
like low resonance bass.
Yes, yeah. Your womp
Things
womp.
like that. Like I mean, for example, remember when Beats headphones came out, and that kind of changed how music was written because they were so bass heavy. Now all of a sudden music is relying so heavily on the lower register. So for a time then that changed, and then obviously MP3 has influenced how music has been written too. Like it's like certain things people don't hear, so they kind of leave that shit out. It's much more I suppose like you get bits that are kind of cut out, I guess.
It's kind of streamlined.
Yeah.
To like the basics of the song as opposed to the fuller experience of the song.
Yeah, you're not caught up on the technicality of like a specific symbol or a specific like, you know, pickup and string, guitar string, etc. It's like you don't really give a shit. It's just a note that you're trying to capture. So that MP3 kind of affected that. So to some degree, it's kind of closer to that. I don't think it's as obvious to kind of pinpoint as with gaming. Like it's like the types of experiences are so drastic because you can have an action adventure, right? Like, so if you took like pop music, right, it's very easy to define pop music nearly, right? Although they sound different, and throughout the different eras they sound different, but you can almost immediately identify a pop song over other genres. And whereas if you took something like action adventure game, it's not easy to define. You can actually have a bunch of different action adventure titles that are just like totally different. Because I think they said in one of the games in State of Play was Jet.
Yeah.
Which looked really cool.
Yeah, they
looked really nice. But they referred to it as an action adventure, didn't they?
They did, which I thought was very weird.
Yeah, which is a weird terminology because they said there's no combat in it too. So where's action is not just combat, but it's like that's so weird because that to me doesn't seem or appear anything like Uncharted, which I always consider action adventure.
And almost like the definitive action adventure is the Uncharted, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which also in that's not that much like Death Stranding. You could probably almost call it an action adventure as well.
Yeah, I mean he could, but I would call it that more adventure than action. Well, maybe not.
But like there's a bit
put it in that genre.
All right, so it's adventure action then.
Yeah.
But that's not like Uncharted, which is not like Jet, which is not like which is not like Devil May Cry, which is not like
you
know. So they're all very, very different. But if you take a superhero movie, I suppose they're all going to be very much the same format. They're all going to look
for the most part. Yeah, some of them will have different colors and but that's about it. Usually, they're all costumed and it's all about virtue and that kind of thing. It's just kind of interesting comparing mediums of entertainment. We're actually, like, obviously this is a gaming podcast primarily, but we're all very hugely interested in movies and hugely interested in music as well. We don't read enough though. Probably we should probably read more books. We don't have time. Come on, guys. Come on. I read a lot of comics actually, but not
literature
much. I used to a lot, but not anymore.